This is David with FinWealth Builders, and this is your daily update for the market. And boy, was it an interesting market today. And we're going to get into Bitcoin. We're going to talk about where the S&P 500 are, and gold, and just kind of get a feel for where the market's headed. And are we in a corrective wave direction now, or where we're going? So let's get into it. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel, support us so we can continue bringing this content to you every day. The Dow Jones ended up closing down 267 points, or 0.78%. Nasdaq was down 0.56, and the S&P 500 down 0.85. And it looked like it was going to start out that way. It looked like we actually had good momentum first thing this morning and into the open, but it changed around and at the end of the day really started to fall apart. You can see here on the heat map, just about every sector's red. You had some mix in healthcare and real estate and utilities, but most everything across the board was down. Our big runners today was ONTX and BMTX, and then we had a couple other Moxie and a couple others that I was looking at as well, and a couple from our old list. And so we'll take a look at a couple of those here going forward. Again, we're in our next earnings week, and today we at Home Depot, Walmart, Baidu, Trip, and others, and not really. I mean, even Macy's, and not really the movement that I was hoping to see out of these companies as far as their earnings and the movement in the stocks. We typically see, and I'm assuming that based on how flat the market's been the last few days, that's kind of really affecting the typical volatility or movement that I really used to see in these stocks as earnings come out. You can see tomorrow we have JD.com, JD, we have Cisco, we have L Brands, we have Target, Lowe's, TJ Maxx. There's some retail here, so we'll see how the retail comes out. Uh, right now, I'm not expecting anything that's going to be large swings one way or the other based on what I'm seeing so far in the market. But we'll take a look at them. There are a lot of times volatility comes in, and you're able to play these stocks and scalp them or day trade them and get some good profits off of them. But the last couple weeks have not been impressed. But we'll see what we can do going forward. I look at earnings update: 78%, 1,572 beats, and 437 miss. So you can see that overall we're continuing to hold a high rating there, so that's good for the market, or should be. So ONTX was on the list, and you can see that there's a ramp up that happened a while ago here, and let me move this out of the way. Back here in March, towards the before March here time frame, February March area, there's a big old spike we had, and then it kind of settled back down. And today it was another spike that we saw, coming down from about 50 cents up to $1. So it's not a whole lot of movement, but 50 cents on a stock that's under $1 on these small caps, or penny stocks if it's under $1, if you want to consider it. Uh, you know, Most people can afford to buy the stock and be able to get in and get out. Is a great opportunity now. It's not necessarily something I would hold long term. Some people do or may, but this is definitely a scalping opportunity, and that's one that this is a 5-minute chart here. So you would have missed it here because it didn't come on the scanner until it actually had its initial spike in the morning. But then it settled down for a moment, allowed you an opportunity to get back in on a dip here. If you wanted to wait till you actually got to the high and broke out, you still could get in. And then it was just a small grind all day long. That's how it was with most stocks today. So it's just, you got to be really patient if you're going to profit from any of the movement today. And really, since the market was kind of on the red side, I mean, the short side, obviously, it was a dominant trend for playing in the market today. ARPO, this is one from a prior day. You can see that there's always opportunities a lot of times, multiple days to get in on some of these stocks. And the initial entry in, could have been here at 160, could have got back in at 172, as it hit the scanners. If you didn't, you still could have pulled back here. You had other chances to get into the stock and take advantage of the rides here. A small dip here. You see there's a small dip here in the day. So uh, there's potential here in this stock. So we're going to watch it for the next couple of days and see if there's something to grab off of this. If not, then we'll just kind of move on. So the dollar. So this is the dollar index. You can see that the dollar continues to collapse. We're down to 89.7. So it's good for the stock market. You can see that this is low support that we had back here in February that we're at right now. So will that hold and keep us there, or will it drop further down? That's to be determined. It might find support here and bounce back up. As long as it continues to stay down here below 90, should help the market. If it's going to decide to rally back, this is its chance to do it right now. The VIX, you can see, the VIX was very volatile today, but you can see here that it chased, yesterday was kind of flat, but today it chased right back up and retraces almost this whole breakdown candle right here. So if it can hold here, now it's above the 100. If it can break up above the 100, start to climb back towards the 200, these moving averages can start to come back up. There's a potential for a run, but there's a lot of resistance right now here that's got to be addressed. So we got to see if we can get through that, or if it's going to continue, if it's going to pull back and sell off again. If it does, it could come down here to the 16.6 down here for support. We're down to the low here, which is around 15. If it does break back up, though, it has a long run. It has this long breakdown candle. It can climb back up. So just got to monitor the VIX, see what it's doing, and how it's affecting the SPY and the other indexes here over the next few days, especially. S&P 500. So we're going to kind of blend a couple together. So this is S&P 500 and also Bitcoin. And just wanted to show you, it's just not that you can look at one and it's for sure going to be exact or tell you exactly what's going to happen. But, one of the things I've noticed with Bitcoin over lately, the last year or so, it seems like it's trading closer and closer. And I don't know yet if this is a leading indicator or not. And most people say it's not, but there's a lot of opinions out there. So I'm just going to share you just a thought, not necessarily opinion, but a thought. See here where Bitcoin had this big long climb, right, with little spikes here and dips, but it continued to maintain right on this 50, and then it broke down to the 100, arched back up, and then boom, now we're coming down through the 50 to 100, through the 200 now, and down here around 40,000. So we'll see what happens here. We could go down to 3,600 now that we broke the 200 moving average, but we'll see. But I was looking at the SPY chart on the daily, and you can see that, it came up, kind of, ebb and flowed back and forth as the market does. And then you see here where it came down finally and had a little dip, and then it arched over. So I was looking at this and wondering, okay, are we going to see something similar with the SPY where it kind of comes and arches, dips, finds support, comes back up, and then back down again? And I don't know if it's going to go down to the, it could go down to the 100 and stop, it could go down 200 and stop, and find support. We just don't know how far the correction is, but this, you can see this is a large correction. So, are we going to see that same thing here? I don't know. I'm very curious. I have a couple other charts to show you that I find are interesting, but we'll take a look at them. So here's a triple Q. So I did the same thing with the triple Qs, which is the NASDAQ and the Bitcoin. So you can see here again, you see it found support on off the 50, dropped down to the 100, arched over, came back and dropped down. And you see that the Qs, was it a leading indicator to, possibly Bitcoin? Maybe not. Maybe they're not even related. But interesting that we had kind of this up and down arches over here, and then boom, we're down. We bounced back up, found support, came back up, rallied up, and came back down, and we bounced. And so you can see we have a nice little cup that's upside down cup here, and who knows if we're going to get a little handle here or not. But right now with the pressures to the downside, and you see here's a nice little cup here, and we're again going towards the downside here too. So interesting to see how this is going to play out, if Bitcoin's going to continue dropping, and if the triple Qs, if the NASDAQ's going to continue selling off, or if it's going to start to find support. So here's some scenarios. So The reason I talked about waves on the front, the picture there on the first slide is, you know, one of the things that what the market does is it kind of ebbs and flows. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, and there's Elliott wave theory that the market kind of works in a wave, and there's some science to it. There's some rules that apply to it, but this is just kind of me throwing out some ideas, just trying to figure out possibly where the market might be heading, or at least be prepared for different scenarios. So here's what I mapped out, and there's probably people are going to say it's right, other people are going to say it's wrong, and other people are going to show a totally different chart. So this is my mind, this is me showing you what my thoughts are. So I'm looking at this prior breakout here where we went up, broke back down, and then typically on a wave 3 you see the longest run, which would be up to where we're at the highs. Broke back down close to this 50, bounced back up again, didn't reach the highs again, we were short of that. And then my thought is, if this is a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then there's a corrective wave that happens, which means it goes down to correct, and then it starts to go back up again and repeats itself over and over again. So I was thinking today when I saw this drop, I was like, okay, is this the corrective phase possibly starting? This possibly could have, but we didn't complete the waves if this is the true wave. So if this is the case, do we start to drop down, including tomorrow and the rest of the week? Start to close down towards the 50, and then bounce back up a little bit, and then fall even further down. That's one scenario. I was looking at this other scenario where this is wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then maybe tomorrow we, instead of coming down further, we bounce up a little bit, not quite to the highs, and then we drop back down below, and then back up again a little bit and retrace a little bit, and then we have the more of a serious correction before starting the waves all over again. So that's another scenario I'm playing out. I know I'm going a little fast, so go ahead and pause the video if you need to kind of review it. And if you have any comments, go ahead. And then here's the third scenario I'm looking at, as far as here's like wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 would be if all of a sudden tomorrow the S&P 500 decides just to spike and just keep on going north. If it does and it gets past this height, then it would cancel out this wave, and so that means this wave is not correct, and it was not mapped out correct, or that the wave started maybe a little bit earlier. So just something to note here. That's why this little X here is say, hey, this is as soon as it breaks this, it's going to break the wave theory, and not going to work. So that means this failed. So there's a few scenarios I'm playing out. I'm going to watch what the price action is tomorrow. See, do we wake up green tomorrow or red, and which direction do we go? And we still have gaps to fill, so that's one thing we have to take care of as well. And then on the triple Qs, again, did the same thing. Is this wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? And that was the corrective wave, and we already went through A, which would be the first corrective wave, and then B, which it was where it came up to here, back to the 50, and then C is down here, somewhere close to the 200 or below, maybe around 300 level. Is that possibly where we're headed? If we're following this as, possibly the way that the triple Qs or the NASDAQ's following. Here's my other scenario: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the first correction's here, and then back up again to close this gap right here, and then back down. So that's another theory. And then of course the one that fails, where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The correction A, and then B comes up, and the market rallies over this next week or so, and rallies up and actually gets over the highs. Then that would be a failure of this wave. It would be a failure. So just looking for price action to tell me, which way we possibly could be going, and how much of a, of a correction we're going to see, with the market right now. So be prepared. If your portfolio is full and you have no cash on the side, so investors are, it's good to consider. I have most of my cash on the side right now, just because I know that this could be one of those corrective phases, and if it is, and I'll get back in at lower, so I can get a bargain on the stock prices for my long-term portfolio and possibly scalp along the way. Or if it's not a corrective phase and it breaks the new highs, then again I'll get back right in and continue to ride the bull in the marketplace. So just something to be aware of. Hopefully this helps you. If you look at the semiconductor space, you can see that it's still below the 100 moving average, and it's below all the other moving averages as well, including the 5. So you can see it's right down here, trying to look for support. It may find support down here at 224. If not, it might find it back up here if it can bounce back tomorrow or the next few days and try to start rallying back up. It's got to get above that 100 is the first goal to start recorrecting and getting back into a strong bull. So here's the Russell 2000 IWM. You can see that it dropped down here as just sitting right above the 5, but it's still below the 20 and the 50 and the 10. So there's some corrective direction that we got to get here. But at least it found support there at the 5, which is good. That means there is a good support there. We'll just see if it breaks down tomorrow or if it continues on. If it breaks down, it can go down to 217. If it is able to rally back and get above the moving averages, and hopefully we get back towards the 20 at 221. So the financials, you see financials pulled back, and they kind of found support. So you can see that it had support here. So you have kind of this little channel possibly developing here. Or maybe we're going to go up and back down and back up and back down until it finds a direction either to break up north or break down south. So a lot of this will probably follow, what the market does as a whole. And right now it's holding back here closer to its highs, and so it might take a while to catch up, or it may decide if we do get in a rally, it may start being one of the leaders. So gold, you can see trying to break up through new highs, 1872, trying to break up. If it does, it can go to 1880 and then further to 1890 and possibly to work its way to 1900. So that's where we see that going. You see it's above the 5, so it's really good, strong bullish momentum right now. You can see 3 green candles as well. So gold's looking good. Silver, it's kind of flat. You can see that it's been flat. This is the last 2 days, yesterday, today. Now a new day starting on here as markets starting to pick up, but you see that they're staying flat here. So we'll see. Obviously it has support here above the 5, but no momentum, not enough volumes to really push this higher. So we'll see what happens there. Bitcoin we covered, but let's get into a little more detail. So just Bitcoin itself, you can see here that it found support. It's right at support right now where it broke out. See, here's the consolidation and then a breakout, and it's coming back right back down to revisit that area. So if it can find support here and bounce off, then that's good. We can start to move up again. If not, if it breaks this, it's probably going to come down here to this 50 at a minimum. If not, it could come down to 100. If it does that, there's a lot of momentum down on the downside. And right now you can see the last 2 candles are pretty big breakdown candles. You see this one's a little large, and this one's a little smaller. It's maybe a half to 2/3 of this candle size. So if we see tomorrow that we see another smaller one, then that means that the momentum's dying out. And you can see there's not a ton of volume as there was back here. You see the volumes decrease as well, and it's under the average. So could it continue? I mean, to move with low volume is possible, but if it's going to really get momentum down, to come down or try to bounce off, you got to see a lot more volume come in. So Ethereum, you can see Ethereum's got that corrective. It's come down right here at this little breakout is where it broke out. Came up, here's your next breakout period here, consolidation, before it came up. And so you see that we've retraced considerable amount right back down to right close to that 3,000 mark. So we'll see if we can hold support here and bounce off of it. We are below the 100 and the 50 and the 20. And it's possible to come down to this 200 to find support, but we'll see. Right now we're kind of a little bit in the middle. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of days, see if it can bounce up and start to rally. But right now it's at a critical support level, and if it does come down lower, it may drag some of the other stocks and or some of the other Bitcoins down as well, and all the altcoins. Doge coins, you see Doge is, came up, and here's this all-time high up here around 74 cents. came back down, retraced right almost down to it retraced right down to this breakout area here. Started to rally back up about 50%, and it's come back and it's broke back down to the support level again. So it touched it, but it's still and bounced back above it. So it's still above that 100 moving average, but it's still below all the 20, the 50, the 5, the 10. And so it's got to find a rally, but it should find support here at 39. If it breaks 39, then we could possibly be going down like 28 cents or down towards this 200. So a lot of that possibly depends on Bitcoin as well. So I'm monitoring Bitcoin to see kind of what its behavior is and see, where's the opportunity to get back into this. And because I do believe it's going to bounce off of here at some point, but you can see that the trend right now, if you look from here down here, the trend is on the south side. So just something to be aware of if you're trading it. I'm out. I got out temporarily up here around 54 up here in this area where I got out. As I saw that it kind of arched up and started to head to lower lows and lower highs. As it started sliding down, I got out. Figured I'd just wait for it to reset a little bit and get back in. So if you're in it, a lot of people are in it. They say they're in it for the long haul. For me, I like to get out and buy the dips if I can. And so I'm looking at it, close to where it's at right now, and for possibly partial entry in. But I'm still going to wait to see if we get even more. So I'll be watching Bitcoin, see if it fails its current support level or not. Tesla, there's always a trade in Tesla, so I really appreciate Tesla. Okay, this is their day chart, so you can see a little consolidation right here. So it's a little flat, not as much movement as you typically see in Tesla, but still tradable. But we are under the 200 now, which makes me a little nervous that maybe we come down, or we might come down and reset maybe to 520 or 540 even before we start to possibly go back up. But we'll see. But it is under the 200 right now. If let's flip this to a 5 just so you can see. Let me zoom up on this. I wasn't planning to get detail, but just want to show you where the opportunities are here. So if you're looking at today, you had an opportunity, and I didn't get as much as I wasn't paying attention enough to catch as much as I wanted to on this trade here. But you see when it broke the 200 that it held, right? So once it started to climb up here, you could have got in early here if you thought you were going to get the support. It wasn't going to fail and drop back down. Get in here, you can write it up, and see that we came up to the support level that we had before, right at 589, just short of that. Came back down. Here's your next entry in. So you had another entry in here. You could have got in here. If you wanted to wait for safety, you would have waited for that support line to come back up before you got back in. So I'm not sure what you did, but if you were trading Tesla, hopefully that worked out well for you. Let me pull this down. So you see it peaked out, dropped back down for a while, and then it found support down here on this 200 line, as it did right here, and bounced off there. So there was your next entry in, either here, or consolidated for a few minutes, or right here where you broke out off this lower high. So you had a little bit of a catch there. If you're shorting stock, yeah, this is an opportunity to short it. You had a lower high here, and so this was an opportunity to short the stock if you were going to. I did not, but I didn't get any of this trade. I just stood out after this, the morning. But you can see, you had an opportunity down here to catch it down here at 576 and bounce off of that and came back down. You see, just kind of rounded right back down, which is what I was afraid it was going to do, especially after this little drop here, and we had this secondary drop, first drop here, and then secondary one here. So my guess is we're going to go further south, but I could be wrong. But I think we're going to take a little bit more of a dip before we start to bounce off and start to climb. So we'll have to watch the markets and see what they decide they want to do. That's kind of where we're at. Disney popped up on my radar, and it gave good scalping opportunities, but that's about it. It's not moving a lot. I typically like to see if it's a small cap, or if it's a what they call penny stock, possibly if it's really small. Those are, are quick trades where you can get in and out. And, we might get dollar movement. But when it comes to Disney, I was hoping to get larger. You can see that the trend is going down. Got some momentum going down here. So there should be some pressure here to build up, either to break out or to go south. But from what I'm seeing, where we've come down and hit support, 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 support. If we don't get more momentum here to bounce up, I think this is going to break through. And if it does, then we're gonna be going lower for Disney, and the next level would be probably around this 160, 69 level, or down either to 168. So I see that those could be the next targets here. If we do break down before underneath the support, this has been great support. It's held up, several times. But if the market's weak tomorrow, I think we're going to break down through here. And you can see too that the volume for the bears, the selling off here of stock has accelerated, and it's above this little bounce that we had. So when the bulls came in to bounce this back up, you see that it hit this trend line here, this resistance line, and bounced right back down again. So we'll see what happens, see what the volume is like. But it's had some good volumes around the end of the day, so that the market's trying to get a direction here. So AMC just all of a sudden had this nice little rally the other day, and just rallied back up. You can see that it's kind of slowly climbing on a grind up towards this 1454 high. We'll see if it can hold that or break up north, or if it's just going to come back and settle down again. You can see you got mixed volumes here, so we'll see. Just monitoring that one. Again, I don't see any long-term trades on this one right now, just because it is AMC. Baidu. So Baidu, came out with their earnings. They had a nice little dip here, but they are possibly going to find support here if the market can rally back up. Let me go down to this 15-minute chart, so you can see on a 15-minute chart, we had this big old candle up here as we climbed up to 197.75, and then we broke down and retraced. You got this 50% candle here, about 50% of this long-term candle here, and then you can see that we kind of chopped back and forth here, and then dipped down. And you see today it dipped down and touched the 50, and then through the 50 and down to the 100, found support and bounced back up just underneath the 50 right now, and the 200. And all the other moving averages. So can it rally back up? It's possible, but right now, if you look at the momentum in this line here, the momentum is to the downside for Baidu. So we'll see what happens with that. But definitely monitoring the market. We'll see what happens tomorrow morning. It looks like, usually turnaround Tuesday means that we're going to reverse into the other direction the following day. On hump day Wednesday, so we'll see if that actually happens. But the momentum seems it's more on the downside. But if you look at other charts, you can actually see that we're still bullish, right? The market's still bullish overall. It hasn't dropped enough to get into a full bear on market, but it's possible that we could get there in the next few days if negative sentiment comes out and we start to see selling off and people taking profits. We could definitely start to drop again. And so if we're going back to the S&P 500, let me just pull up the chart here. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. This is kind of where we're at right now. This 411 is kind of a critical spot. If it breaks below 411, then we're going to probably go down here to probably around this 408 mark here. And if we break 408, we're going to go down to 404. If we hit 404, then we got a line here at 400, or clear down here to 100 at 394. So we'll see what happens. It's hard to say. I know after hours, it's been all over the place. So there's a lot of volatility going on right now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of days. See which way the market wants to go. Is it gonna? What are these three scenarios is it gonna take? So I'm anxious to see what happens. I'm anxious to hear from you as far as where do you see it going, and which direction, and why. So happy trading out there. Be really safe right now. Don't get chopped out of your money when the range is so small. When it's within a dollar or two, it's kind of hard to trade it without losing money. So if you are, it's better just to stop and don't trade until the market's in a state where it's stable and ready for you to start to do investing, especially if you're doing day trading or scalp trading and you're not used to it or you're not familiar with it, or you're on a platform that's very limited. So just be careful out there, trade smart, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.